and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1974B, and today's date is September 19th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Setup Needed Before Declass, Tarmac Back in the News, Prisons Prepped. Now, over the last 30 days, Capital One, the Central Bank of Europe, and the great state of Texas have all been hacked in major data breaches. This is starting to get really out of control, guys. Who's going to be next? VPNs can be used to shield your browsing activity from prying eyes. Here, let me show you how easy this is. Go to Virtual Shield, download the free 30-day trial, install it, and click Connect. This month, Virtual Shield is offering the anniversary special of 30% off all VPN plans. Sign up for a free 30-day trial to Virtual Shield VPN and see what the hype is about. You have nothing to lose. Click on the link below. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, I just wanted to mention that I uploaded a new interview on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and you type in X22 Report Spotlight, it will bring you to that channel. The interview is with Bob Kudla, and the title is Charges Coming, Timing is Everything, The Enemy Has Been Revealed. And if you want to view that, you can go to YouTube or you can come to the x22report.com site, view it there, go to BitChute, Steam it. It's on all these different platforms. Now, everyone was wondering why the IG separated the report. Why did he have a separate Comey report? Well, now we're getting the full picture of why he did this. The entire case that Comey created, that he's a good guy, a loyal FBI agent, he's not investigating Trump, that I'm not the center of all of this, well, guess what? It's all falling apart. His lies have caught up to him. The first report is knocking Comey off of his pedestal, showing everyone what he did. He committed crimes. Yes, the IG said he should be prosecuted. He told the Department of Justice he should be prosecuted. It's not like he was exonerated. The IG said, listen, he committed crimes. He should be prosecuted. McCabe committed crimes. He should be prosecuted. It's shaping the narrative. Why do you think Trump, the Patriots, why do you think they allowed Comey to go out there and say, see, I did nothing wrong. 2.5 years, I did nothing. You owe me an apology. Remember, they want them to go out there and say these ridiculous things. And then, once they say it, the truth comes out. Well, wait a minute. We were saying this for 2.5 years, and it's true. The IG just told the world that, yes, you committed crimes, you broke the law, and I said you should be prosecuted. This was done on purpose. They needed to set the narrative to knock him off his pedestal, because what other things did he do? Well, they're getting to that. That's going to be the FISA warrants. And they needed to show this. This is why they did this. I know a lot of people get very upset when, oh, they're not arrested yet. But we need to remember that you don't want to arrest these individuals and try them on something which is ridiculous, because the American people are going to say, all right, he stole some memos from the office. Who cares? But if they try him on spying without warrants and then going back and covering it up and creating warrants under false pretenses, well, that's a bigger story. That shows their intent to actually spy, not just on Trump, but on many individuals. What Trump and the Patriots are doing right now is they're pulling the curtain back and allowing the American people to see what is really going on. And they're going to do this in stages, because you need to create the narrative. You need to show everyone that these are criminals. These are not good guys. Because up to this point, with all these ridiculous hearings, they made them seem like, yeah, these guys are incredible FBI agents. They're incredible politicians. They're goody two-shoes. They're not. And now what Trump and the Patriots are doing, and the Department of Justice, is they're painting a new picture. And they need to do this before they move forward. This is why they got Comey, McCabe, and you'll see many others coming up soon, the low-lying fruit, and they'll move up the chain. That's what they're preparing to do. And we'll be talking about the IG report on Comey and Comey, how he contradicted himself, and now this is all coming out. But first, let's talk about Jussie Smollett, because there's new evidence that suggests that Cory Booker and Kamala Harris and others were in on the hoax, which we kind of knew because they were passing a new law that says it's a crime to lynch someone. This is coming out of the Gateway Pundit. Jussie Smollett held a number of conversations with Cory Booker and Kamala Harris about supporting their sponsored Justice for Victims of Lynching Act and providing the needed public momentum for the bill to pass the Senate and the House. Now, the timeline of these conversations, December 21st, January 18 to 2019, suggests that the death threat letter he sent himself, January 22nd to 23rd, and his staged attack, January 29th, were timed to create an opinion groundswell to support the bill and prop the political and professional career of the three masterminds. It is noteworthy that both Harris and Booker released separate statements condemning Smollett's attack using identical language in attempted modern-day lynching. This was done on purpose. And at the time Booker released his statement, it was 12:09 p.m., and Harris released hers at 1:30 p.m. They could not have possibly known what the motive for the attack was because the police were only a few hours into the investigation. The first tip that the Chicago police received regarding the true nature of the case came from within Smollett's inner circle. One of his friends realized that he was now being investigated as a suspect and decided that he didn't want to be an accessory to a crime. He then contacted the police and told them that the entire event was orchestrated by Smollett. This is another strong indicator that multiple participants knew about staged attack in advance. Beyond the obvious question of how Smollett managed to shake off 16 felony charges without breaking a sweat is the issue of Cory Booker's and Kamala Harris's involvement in the planning and orchestration of Smollett's publicity stunt. All material evidence suggests that parts of the event were influenced by Booker and Harris. And I believe there is still a federal investigation going on. There's another prosecutor looking into this to see why all 16 felony charges were just magically dropped. And this has not ended at all. Now, as we approach D-Day, Declass Day, we will be seeing more and more deep state players resign. They're going to be getting out before it all falls apart. And we've seen many individuals resign, decide not to run. And now we have Janet Napolitano. She decided to resign from UFC. Now, during the Obama administration, she was the head of DHS, and she's the one that said it's not if there's a cyber attack, it is when there is a cyber attack on the nation. Because, again, we knew, and we still know, that they were planning some type of false flag to bring us to war. So she decided to get out before everything starts to fall apart. Now, while she was president of UC, Janet Napolitano championed sanctuary for illegal aliens and defended safe space and trigger warning. This type of culture on college campuses, among many other things. And as you can see, she was all part of the entire system, where they were reshaping America to make everyone afraid, to have these sanctuary cities, to make sure that they won the votes, bring in the illegals to make the country into a third world nation. This was all part of the plan. There are many different agendas associated with it. We mention it over and over in many reports. But as we can see, they're starting to jump ship right now. And we see that Judicial Watch, they have now focused their sights on Adam Schiff. Now remember, Adam Schiff was the one who was out there saying, listen, we have all the evidence on Trump about Russian collusion. He told the mainstream media he has the evidence, but he's never produced it. Well, he really doesn't have anything. He just said that because he thought the Mueller report was going to come out and they were going to have everything. Then he started to tell us about deep fakes. And then he said, well, I have a whistleblower. And this whistleblower is going to tell us a lot about Trump. So Judicial Watch announced that it filed an official complaint with the Office of Congressional Ethics about Adam Schiff. Why? Because he leaks information. And they filed this because of Adam Schiff's controversial communications and contacts with two congressional witnesses, Glenn Simpson of Fusion GPS and Michael Cohen. This is Trump's former personal lawyer. The complaint asked that Representative Schiff, who is the new chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, be investigated in connection with recent revelations that he met with Simpson in Aspen, Colorado in July 2018, and that he and his staff coordinated with Michael Cohen on Cohen's recent testimony to congressional committees. Cohen's testimony is alleged to be false in several important respects. Judicial Watch filed an ethics complaint against Schiff and Jackie Speer for improperly confirming classified information in violation of House rules, but the committee has yet to take any public action on the complaint. Why? Because they're all part of the system. But once again, Judicial Watch is going after Adam Schiff. And we need to go back to post 3485, where Q gives us two drops. One, remember this is an important fact. Adam Schiff is part of the Gang of Eight. It will become critical once Gang of Eight material is declassified. The other drop is that Adam Schiff, who spent 2 years knowingly and unlawfully lying and leaking, should be forced to resign from Congress. And then Q went knowingly in brackets, gave us the link showing us that he knowingly did these acts and he has to be accountable. And below this it says leaking investigation can lead to forced resignations. Knowingly disseminating false information is illegal. Gang of Eight intel. And right there and then, Adam Schiff is in trouble. Judicial Watch is going to file Freedom of Information Act requests. They're going to get information that he knowingly knew that this was false information that he was leaking out. And guess what? He's going to be forced to resign. Charges are going to be brought against him. Now, we know that Horowitz, IG Horowitz, was testifying in front of Congress. And according to the Department of Justice IG report on James Comey, Comey leaked his memos to his friend, who he later described as his lawyer, which protected him by implementing attorney-client privilege. This protected Comey from the crime of leaking information to the press unlawfully. But Comey was also protected by his fellow gangsters at the FBI when they labeled the memos that he leaked other than classified. If they were labeled classified, Comey would be in serious trouble for leaking classified information. So they decided to leak this other than classified. And the FBI isn't supposed to let on that there are any active investigations, let alone leak evidence from their investigations. Remember, it's supposed to be silent, just like the investigations that are going on now. You don't hear anything. There are no leaks. Why? Because Jeff Sessions got rid of the leakers. That was his job. So what was the FBI's supposed basis for obstruction of justice charges against Trump? Trump's firing of Comey. Trump's asking Comey to let Flynn go, as outlined in memo number 4. So Trump's comments about letting Flynn go was the basis, the evidence for obstruction of justice. That in and of itself should mean that information related to this was highly classified. But Comey's memo number 4 was labeled by the FBI as unofficial business use. How can your prime evidence in a case be labeled unofficial business use? The reason why the FBI labeled it that way was because Comey gave that memo number 4 to his buddies, and that buddy gave it to the press. It's the same tactic they pulled when they relabeled Clinton's crimes regarding her emails. This means Comey screwed the investigation when he leaked his memo to the press. If they tried to charge Trump with anything related to the leaks, then they have to charge Comey with leaking highly classified information, which means that on day one, Mueller knew, without a doubt, he had no case because Comey screwed it up. He screwed up the whole thing. The FBI, the Department of Justice at the time, had no case for removing Trump. He committed no crimes, nor did Flynn for that matter. They set them up, but thanks to corrupt FBI Director James Comey, they screwed their own coup. Now, Inspector General Michael Horowitz, as he was testifying, there were many individuals that were asking him questions. Representative Jim Jordan asked Horowitz if any committee chairman has asked him to testify. Horowitz confirmed that neither Chairman Nadler nor Chairman Cummings has asked for IG testimony. Democrats are attempting to hide the investigation findings. That's why they haven't asked. Ranking Member Mark Meadows takes up where Jim Jordan left off. Meadows outlines some of the specifics around James Comey leaks to the media, pointing out that Comey's testimony to Congress conflicts with some aspects of the IG report on James Comey. And Meadows gave some examples. He said, referring to testimony Comey gave in December of 2018, Mr. Gowdy was asking, he said, did you initiate an obstruction of justice investigation based on what the president said? It was a very clear question. Mr. Comey said, I don't think so. I don't recall doing that, so I don't think so. However, on page 13 of the IG report, it says that Comey purposefully leaked the memo so that they could have a special counsel appointed to investigate obstruction of justice. So two of those cannot be true. They're at opposite dynamics in terms of what they're constructing. And we have dozens of examples where that has happened. Yes, those two ideas are opposed and signal that Comey was saying one thing while trying to do another. And Representative Mark Meadows, he issued a warning to Comey, saying, problems are just now starting. Think about what just happened here. He screwed up the coup. He's contradicting himself. He can't keep his lies straight. And what's coming next is the FISA warrants. He signed those, knowing that the information that he had was not verified. Meadows went on to say that Comey had calculated plan that he discussed with senior level officials to try to entrap the President of the United States. This is all falling apart for them. And the mainstream media, they don't want to touch this. Now, remember when Adam Schiff subpoenaed acting DNI Chief Joseph McGuire right after DNI Coates left? And waiting in the wings, they had this whistleblower. And they accused McGuire of illegally withholding a whistleblower complaint from Congress that could potentially be covering up the president's misconduct. Well, here it is. It just hit, and Trump is hitting back hard. He tweeted out the following. Another fake news story out there. It never ends. Virtually anytime I speak on the phone to a foreign leader, I understand that there may be many people listening from various U.S. agencies, not to mention those from the other country itself. No problem. Knowing all this, is anybody dumb enough to believe that I would say something inappropriate with a foreign leader while on such a potentially heavily populated call with everyone listening in? I would only do what is right anyway, and only do good for the USA. Which tells me, with Trump tweeting this out, getting ahead of the story that's coming, they already know what this whistleblower has. And they already know it's fake information. And they will not have anything to back this up. Most likely what they'll say is, this is what I heard. Do you have the recordings? No. Do you have documentation? No. So what exactly did he say? This is what he said. Well, do you have that to back what you're saying up? No. And guess what Adam Schiff will have? He will have absolutely nothing once again. Now, it seems that Julian Assange he might be coming back into the news very soon. Adam Klasfeld tweeted out the following. Breaking. Attorney for Joshua Adam Schulte, the suspected source for WikiLeaks' Vault 7 trove of CIA files, can visit their client's former workstation over the objections of federal prosecutors. And let's go back to post 3341. This is May 23rd, 2019. And it says, under protection, threat is real, key to DNC source Hack 187, which is Seth Rich. 187 is a murder. And Julian Assange is under protection. He's the key to the DNC data leak and the Seth Rich murder. Now, I want to go back to post 3364 for a second. You'll see why in a minute. This is back in July 8th, 2019. This is a picture of the Punisher skull with the teeth coming down. Under it, it says, what happens when Loretta Lynch can no longer provide legal cover for the Clintons? Tarmac meeting _ end in all caps. So basically, pain, Loretta Lynch can't protect the Clintons anymore. Now let's move to Sask Conservatives tweet. And it says, buckle up. And within this tweet brings us back to post number 36, which is November 1st, 2017. And down below it's highlighted. What if the wizards and warlocks tipped off a local reporter as to the supposed unscheduled stop? This is when Bill Clinton had a meeting with Loretta Lynch on the tarmac. They promised Loretta Lynch that she would be a Supreme Court justice. And, of course, the news said, oh, they didn't discuss anything. It wasn't really important. It's not that big of a deal. And that brings us to Christopher Sine, who tweeted something very interesting. Now, we need to understand that this thread in Twitter, they're talking about the tarmac meeting. Roscoe B. Davis tweeted out the following. To be specific, it was Christopher Sine, the morning anchor for the ABC affiliate in Phoenix, that broke the story, who told everyone he got a tip from his friend working the ground crew at SkyWest Airport. Christopher Sine responded to this and said, I never told anyone who tipped me off. I certainly never said it was a member of the ground crew at Sky Harbor. I don't want an innocent person pegged as some sort of collateral damage. Soon, you'll know how it all went down. Every detail. What does that tell us? It's coming. Let's go back to post 2261. This is back September 21st, 2018. Panic in D.C. This is in kill brackets, 2 capital letters, LL. Loretta Lynch talking equals truth is in all caps. Reveal tarmac. Bill Clinton is in bold and kill brackets. Down below it says FISA equals start. Pfizer brings down the house. When do birds sing? Now let's take this a step further. Q has talked about flowers and gardens in older posts. So let's go back to post 747 and then 748. This is back February 12, 2018. And it says flowers and gardens. Learn the hidden symbolism. Gave us an encyclopedia of humanities, applied and social sciences magazines, Slave Gardens. What does a flower represent? What does deflower represent? Let's go to post 748, which gives us everything from 747, and it says, think children, think slaves, think sheep. Now think about this for a second. What just happened? Well, Epstein was arrested. Epstein was allegedly murdered. He's allegedly dead. We don't know for sure. What are they investigating right now? Children, slaves, sheep. Fast forward to today. Chelsea Clinton has a new book out. Well, it's coming, I should say. She's already starting to market it. It's called Grandma's Garden. She says that it is inspired by her grandma, Dorothy. Wait, doesn't that ring a bell? Dorothy. That's a character in The Wizard of Oz. So let's go back to post 2049. Now, in this post, Q gives us a previous post where it says Saudi Arabia access closed, Epstein Island access closed, Haiti access closed, and down below it says HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton, equals Alice. SA equals Wonderland. Saudi Arabia equals Wonderland. Who are the white rabbits? Reed drops. RE, Saudi Arabia. Have faith, forgotten country. Let's move to 2053. Q gives us a link to Judicial Watch. This is emails between MH and Hillary, or Alice. And it reads, "And I hope you and Chris enjoy your time in the land of Alice. And the MH, all the best from Hanoi. H." Under this, Q says nothing to see here. Alice equals Hillary Clinton. Mad Hatter equals Marty Tory. So let's go back to Chelsea Clinton, and this is her tweet. "This Grandparents' Day, I'm excited to announce Grandma's Gardens, a picture book my mom and I wrote, inspired by my Grandma Dorothy and her love of gardens. It is all a story about family bonds across generations. We can't wait to share it on March 31st. Now, the book description, she taught them that gardens are magical places to learn, exciting spaces for discovery. Now, Hillary became the grandmother of Chelsea's child. I guess she is the one being called Dorothy, or should we say Alice. So think about what is going on and think about the perfect storm that is coming. Think about gardens and flowers. Think about Alice and Wonderland. Getting the picture now? Think about it. They have all the documentation, the video from Epstein's Island. They have all the information from Saudi Arabia. And they have the treasonous documentation, the email scandal, the uranium one, and everything else. This is the perfect storm. Q said that everything that was mentioned in the past will be proven in the future. And it's starting to look that way. Now, as we know, the deep state is pushing very hard to get Trump's tax returns. And Trump just doesn't want to give them up just yet because timing is everything. Now, we know that New York subpoenaed his tax returns, and Jay Sekulow is out there saying, yeah, this is not going to happen. So they filed a lawsuit over the New York subpoena. And the question is, why do they want a tax return so badly? This is what they're hoping for. Vance's office wants to determine whether Trump's accounting firm falsely accounted for Cohen's reimbursement as a legal expense. In New York, filing a false business record can be a crime, but it becomes a felony only if prosecutors can prove that false filing was made to commit or conceal another crime, such as tax violations or bank fraud. That's what they're trying to get at. And today we've learned a federal judge granted an order that will temporarily protect Trump's personal and business tax returns from release. U.S. District Court of the Southern District of New York Judge Vincent Marrero granted a restraining order and a stay on subpoenas issued by Vance to Trump's accounting firm. And we can see already everything is on hold once again. Now let's head on down to the border because Trump decided to go visit the border and the wall, and he was telling the reporters that you can see that the wall is being built. It's going to be close to 500 miles by the time we finish. And those areas that are most important are going to be pretty darn high. Some will be 18 feet high. Some will be 30 feet high. And he's saying this is going to keep out gangs, human trafficking, drug running, and you name it. And you can see the wall is being built. I know there's a lot of people out there saying it's not being built. Yes, they're taking down parts of the old wall, which really wasn't a wall in the first place, and putting up the new wall. The other places where there is no wall, they're putting that up. Trump Soldier tweeted out the following. Border wall update 9/18/19. 66 miles complete. 250 miles under contract and under construction at 17 locations, 163 under contract within 90 days, plus additional miles on private lands, 44,000 panels on hand installed at a rate of 270 per day. Now, as we know, the big tech companies are censoring or trying to hide channels, profiles, anything else from the public. And it's almost like going into a bookstore and you're browsing and looking through books, and the bookstore decides, you know something? I don't want people coming in looking at these specific books because, you know what? I just don't like them. They're not part of my agenda. They're not part of my narrative. So I'm going to put them in the back room. I'll still display them, but I'm not going to tell anyone about them. So when people come into the bookstore, they browse through it and they think these are the books that are being displayed. They never see the others. The only time you get to see the others is when you specifically search for it and then ask. But the bookstore says, we're not hiding them. We are displaying them. They're just in a different room. And then, of course, you say, well, why don't you just put them out where everyone else is? Well, because these contain certain things that we don't like. So we keep them in here. Well, why don't you have a sign saying that you have additional books that you're not displaying? Well, we don't want to do that. What do you think is happening on social media? They hide all those people in the other room. So those people that are looking and that are being presented different videos, different tweets, and different whatever articles, they never even think about the other things that they're not seeing. And this is, on big tech, this is the difference between a publisher and an open platform. And what's very interesting is Don Jr. is out there saying that Instagram, well, it looks like they're hiding his Instagram account and President Trump's Instagram account. Because when you do a search or you type in and the suggestions that drop down don't have their names there, and they have millions and millions of followers. Why wouldn't they be there? It makes no sense. And of course, Don Jr. is out there saying, well, I think this is probably a coincidence or a bug or a glitch. That's what they always call it. But we know exactly what they're doing. And what's very interesting is that, remember, Facebook bought Instagram. And it seems Facebook is now in more trouble. Remember, you're either a publisher or a social media platform. And there are two separate rules. If you're a social media platform, you're not liable for what people produce. And you can't say, I don't like this. And you don't have a right to decide what is published or not published unless it is a crime. So Facebook, in a court filing, defending itself from a lawsuit filed by activist and congressional candidate Laura Loomer, has cited its First Amendment right as a publisher, contradicting public claims by the company that it's a social media service is a platform. Now, under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, tech platforms have immunity from lawsuits arising out of their decisions to host or not to host user-generated content. Unlike publishers, which are liable if their writers defame someone, a tech platform is not held liable for content created by its users. Yet Facebook appears to be jettisoning this categorization in its court filing, saying it has a First Amendment right as a publisher not to carry Loomer's content. Now, they can't have it both ways, which they're trying to do. Actually, all the big tech platforms are trying to do this. And of course, they're using hate speech to do this. Again, that is not a crime. Freedom of speech is the freedom to say anything as long as it doesn't push anyone to commit a crime. Hate speech, hey, people can say bad things. If you don't want to listen, don't tune in. If you don't like a radio show, if you don't like a TV show, if you don't like a movie, what do? You don't view it. You turn it off. This is why some shows make it, some shows don't. The same thing with social media. The people will decide what they want and what they don't want, not the big tech. If they want to make that decision, they're a publisher and they're liable. And guess what? They lose their entire system because they want to be a social media platform with the right of being a publisher, which they can't have. Now, very interestingly today, we find out that Trump says he is looking at the cost of operating Guantanamo Bay prison in Cuba. And this is coming from Newsbreaking Live Breaking. President Trump says he is looking at the cost of operating Guantanamo Bay prison in Cuba. It costs a fortune to operate it, and I think it's crazy. We're looking at a lot of things. And that reminds me of Post 2623. This is back in December 12, 2018. And Anon asks a question. Is Gitmo going to be used for U.S. citizens? Cabal. Q answered, with brackets, 3. Detention centers being prepped. Monitor funding. Well, wait a minute. Trump is now looking at the funding of these prisons. What does that tell us? The prisons are being prepped. They're going to decide which prison they're going to have and which one they're not going to have because of costs. Everything is getting prepared. Now remember, once the information comes out, once there are trials, this doesn't happen in a day, a week, a month. This will go on for quite a while. Look at Flynn's case. Look at other cases. They have time to get the prisons ready. And as they continually bring out this information and unseal these indictments, more and more people will be put on trial. And people will be going to prison at all different times. Think about how this is going to play out here. Adjust expectations. But guess what? They're preparing for it all. And it is happening. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.